Hey guys, Ryan Kearns here, and I've been making content for about a little bit over a week, maybe 2 weeks. So at this point, I really want to talk about my Lyme disease story and my Lyme disease symptoms. And you can find out more about my entire story by getting my free ebook over at lifenutrition.com, and that details everything, every single step that I took to heal, to get better, to get my point back to where I can live my life with or without the Lyme disease. So, that's the number one way you can learn about my story. However, today I'm going to give you a little background. So, the first set of symptoms I experienced was in late August, and I didn't know it at the time. Actually, I think it was in early August, and I didn't know it at the time. I just got fever and chills. I was freezing cold, but it was like 80 to 90 degrees outside. My wife thought I was crazy, but I was freezing. I was wearing a blanket, like a thick comforter blanket over my body in the middle of the summer, and I was freezing and shivering, and I didn't know why. And I actually threw up 2 or 3 times. I couldn't keep any food down. And then that only lasted for one day, right? So the next day, I went about living my life. I was completely normal. I felt fine. And then a few weeks down the road, in late August, my wife and I went to the beach. We went to the beach, and when I took off my shirt, I looked down. I noticed I had this strange rash. It was shaped like this, one right here. Then I noticed I had another one right here on the inside of my arm. So I was like, what is going on? What is this rash? Like, it didn't hurt. It didn't feel like anything. It just was a circle on my skin. So then I moved forward, not really thinking much of it, until I started feeling a little weird. Started feeling kind of like woozy and lightheaded and stuff. Like my world was like moving slower than my like I would move my head over here, but I would still be looking over there, and then it would catch up. Really strange. Then I woke up one morning. It was probably September at this point. It might still be late August. I woke up and I, did the usual. But when I got out of bed, I got that dizzy feeling like you just stood up, and I almost fell down. I was like, whoa. And then it took longer than usual to come to. It wasn't a normal like head rush when you stand up kind of dizzy feeling. It was like it took longer. It was more like vertigo-ish. So then I came downstairs, and when I got to the bottom of the stairs, it happened again. And I was like, whoa, like I just felt like I was gonna faint. It felt like vertigo. It felt strange and ridiculous, like I didn't know what it was. Then I came down into my basement where my office is, and I, so I could start working and everything. And my dog was like going crazy and stuff, trying to play, and he's a playful little guy. I love him. But then I got that feeling again in the basement where I almost fell over. I felt terrible, and my world was like moving around, and I couldn't focus on anything, and I had a business to run. I had work to do, so I was kind of frustrated at that point. So then I took my dog outside to go to the bathroom. I usually put him on this line, like a zip line in our yard, so he can run back and forth and go to the bathroom as he pleases. So I put him on there, and right after I put him on there, I literally almost fell over. I leaned against a tree to keep myself from falling over. I felt completely terrible, and beneath me was a bed of rocks. So all I could think about after it was over, after I came to, all I could think about was like, wow, if I fell, and like I would have fell if there was no tree there. If I fell, I would have seriously hurt myself. I would have probably cracked my head open. I'd probably be in the ER. So it was just really frustrating, and I didn't know what was going on, so it was confusing. So, at that point, I figured I have to go do something about this. So I told my father, who then picked me up and brought me to the ER, to the like immediate care center in our area, and then they told me that. So then when I went into the doctor, they told me right away. They looked at my rash. I told them my symptoms, and they said, "Okay, you have Lyme disease. Here's a prescription for antibiotics. Go home and take the antibiotics." At that point, I didn't know whether I should take the antibiotics or not. I didn't know how serious it was. I know, I started researching a little bit, enough to know what I should do, what the next steps should take. Needless to say, I decided not to take antibiotics, and I took a extreme holistic nutritional and herbal approach to healing my Lyme disease. And then a little bit later, I went to the doctor, like the regular family doctor, to check me out a little bit. Let him know what was going on. I have Lyme disease, so I could start getting treatment, so I could start getting better. So I went there, and the nurse was checking my pulse, right? She's checking my pulse, and she realizes she can't really find it. She's having a really hard time. I'm like, what's the problem? You don't know how to check a pulse? I was like, what the hell is wrong with this lady? Then she goes, do you run? And I said, yeah, sometimes. At that time, I ran for like a few days before that appointment. I've been running like periodically throughout the summer at different times. I'm never really consistent with it. I try to be, but you know how it is with working out. So I was like, yeah, I run sometimes, And she's like, because your heart rate is extremely low, and it's only ever this low in extremely active people. And then I was like, well, I don't know. She couldn't, but it was lower than the lowest person she's seen. She couldn't find it. So they hooked me up to an EKG right away, where they found out that my heart rate was at 30 beats per minute. 30. And the doctor just was like, okay, most people that are comatose have like a 50 to 60 heart rate. And you're still here talking to me and you have a 30 heart rate. That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, my heart was, there was heart blockage due to Lyme disease. It was extremely serious. I was scared. I thought, oh my God, my heart, that's the epicenter of my body, On top of that, I had a business to run. My wife is pregnant with our second child. My first child wants to play all the time. I got to take care of my wife. I got to take care of my kids. I got to run my business. I couldn't really put the time into myself and my body. That was out of this world. That was out of my mind. That was out of my thinking. I just didn't ever think that I would have to, really focus everything on myself when I had all this other stuff to focus on. So that was my biggest challenge, was the time involved with investing in myself. That was just outside my realm of thinking at the time. So I had to really work on that, get myself to thinking how I could do it, then really, attack it with nutrition, herbs, and healthy conscious living. And that was my Lyme disease story. That was the extent, the main extent of my symptoms, and they were serious. They were extremely scary because it was my heart. I didn't have the joint pain. I didn't have a lot of the other symptoms that come with Lyme disease yet. I may have had some neurological problems as well that developed later on. I still kind of feel a little foggy upstairs sometimes. So, that's an issue. That's something that I work on every day in order to maintain my cognitive ability and maintain my smarts and my, try to keep my brain healthy. But beyond that, my heart was my main issue, and that's really scary to me because it's the epicenter of your body. It sends blood to the rest of your body so you can survive. So, yeah. And then over time, I got better, and I got better, and I got better. And now I feel great. The only thing I've been focusing on lately is my brain. So that's my Lyme disease story, and now you know the symptoms I experienced. And, Lyme disease has led to heart transplants and death in cases where it causes heart blockage. So to me, it was a huge wake-up call. It kind of changed my life. And now all I really want to do is share with everyone else the steps they can take to get better. So that's why I started doing what I'm doing. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Hey guys, Ryan Kearns here. If you want to heal your Lyme disease, but you don't want to take antibiotics, I have just the thing for you. I wrote this ebook. It's called Lyme Wars: How I Counterattack Lyme Disease Using Herbs, Nutrition, and Healthy Conscious Living. For the time being, it's actually completely free, and all you have to do is go to lifenutrition.com to get your free copy. It'll help you learn how you can use natural living in order to heal yourself from Lyme disease, and I hope you find it useful. Thanks so much for coming to check this out, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.